We experienced all together how famous Shah Rukh is here in Germany, and that there's really interesting Bollywood movies now here in Germany. Were you surprised?
I was elated, and I've learned a new word. I felt wunderbar. I felt really nice. I have been meeting a lot of people from Germany back home in Mumbai. I've met a few people in New York, and they would always tell me they're watching my films. I get a lot of email and letters from Germany. I'm not one for film festivals. I've never been intellectually so advanced that I make movies which go for festivals. And I feel out of place because everybody's very intelligent and they talk a lot of great stuff about movies. I just know how to make people smile and dance and laugh. So I always felt that going to a festival would be one serious affair. You have to wear your jacket. So I got 6 jackets, and I'm trying to use them, even though I don't want to wear them. You'll be serious. You'll be having some panel discussion, and you'll be talking about the globalization of cinema and how universally it is appealing and etc. I was a little worried, but when I came last night to the red carpet, I realized. Either every German is Indian, or deep down inside I'm German, and we all feel the same. I really like it. I am a promoter of the fact that films should not be understood, they should be felt. And last night I felt that a lot of people in Germany feel the same. They don't need to understand what I do. They don't need to understand the language or the color, the culture. They just feel the fact that the work I've done so far is something that is trying to connect with people and make them laugh, sing, dance, cry, and go back home and say, okay, it's a nice life, let's celebrate it. So I felt the celebration of life in Berlin, and I want to thank everyone in Berlin. I'm very touched. I'm so touched, I'm on the verge of being emotional about it. So I called up my family and I told them, I called my son and I said, your dad is as famous in Germany as Balak is in Mumbai. So, and as Rummenigge is, or all the great soccer players from Germany, because we follow soccer very closely. So he was, no, I don't think so, Papa. I don't think you can be as famous as Balak. But I'm happy that I'm reaching there in Germany.
I'm happy that you feel this.
No, I was very touched. Very touched. It's really nice.
What would you say makes a Bollywood movie compared with the films we are used here in Germany, the Western movies?
I don't think there's so many hard and fast rules. See, every place, if you tell a story which I narrate to your family, and you tell me the same story I know, and I go and narrate it to my family, we'll have some differences in it. The story would be the same. So I think each film tells a story, the same stories. You talk about triumph of mankind, you talk about triumph of human spirit, you talk about romance and love, you talk about aggression, and you talk about comedy, you talk about fun, you talk about jokes. Everybody has a different presentation. I don't find a wide difference in the story part of it or the storytelling part of it. But yes, of course, on the face of it, it starts looking different because the language is different, the locations are different, the situations are a little different. Like when I'm driving down Berlin, there is no traffic jam. So I don't expect you to write a scene with a traffic jam in it. But in Mumbai, I'm like, you do a car scene, it has to be in a traffic jam. Maybe you won't understand that. You say, why are there so many people? Who are these people? Why is the Indians copulating so much and producing so many kids? So, there's a difference in, there is a beginning difference. But once you see beyond that, I don't find there is much difference. Yes, of course, our songs and dances do come as a USP, which I guess nobody in Europe does anymore. But 30 years ago, everybody was doing musicals. So, either you can say we are still backward, or you can say that we just still love singing and dancing. But that's the only difference on the face of it, and of course our film's a little longer, to say the least.
Let me ask one thing. In Om Shanti Om, you say always happy endings. Yeah, always happy endings, but real life does not really end happily always. So maybe this is the difference for a European with all German melancholic, sentimental movies, or with sad endings. Maybe this could be the difference. Why always happy endings?
There are 2 reasons. One, we make a lot of films with sad endings. We do. The second difference is, why do we make films with happy endings? Why do we always have hope or love or happiness at the end of a film? See, where I come from, the country has been ravaged, has not had such a great economic growth, and still there's illiteracy, there's a lot of poverty in the country, which is changing. The economy is changing now. But there was a time when you know, when I see a Hollywood film, or I don't know, European film is like that, it's larger than life. The ecstasy, the hopes are bigger. Let's talk about aliens, you know, let's get the hero married to an alien girl. Let's take the President of the United States and take him and break the meteor which is going to wipe the existence of Earth. So fantasies are really big because in real life you have already achieved so much fantastic stuff. You have the coolest watches, you have a fantastic degree of lifestyle, which is very comfortable. There is literacy, everybody's got a higher standard of living. In my country, you still don't know whether you will be able to marry for love, because you don't have the money. You have to make choices. Your biggest dream is, you know what, I want to get married, I want to have children and own a small car. A Volkswagen, Beetle, good enough for me. I don't want a Mercedes. So our fantasies are still more real. And we need to end the film saying, it may not be good in real life, but see, there's always hope. There's always happiness at the end. You will get what you want. It's like encouraging a child or telling people, see, it's not as bad as it seems. So people come to the movie with this idea, which people used to in the Western world 60 years ago, 50 years ago, that we are, oh wow, it's a make-believe world, we'll be happy, there'll be singing and dancing, we'll get married, we'll have children, and own a small car. So our fantasies are real. And you know, in real fantasy, I mean, what do you want? Just happiness. So we have happy endings.
Okay. In Om Shanti Om, it's a love story where the people have to overcome various obstacles. There are parallels to your own love story as well, right?
Not much. I had a little problem.
There are two people. He's a junior star. She is a really big Bollywood star, and they come from very different backgrounds, right? But in the end, they fall in love. Yeah. So when you started your career, you also were from a very different world than your today wife, right? Are there any parallels between the movie and your own biography?
Just my wife is Hindu, and I'm Muslim. Yeah, initially they were like, you know, my wife's parents didn't like my hairstyle. And, you know, actors are sort of looked down upon. People think if you're an actor, you must be doing drugs, you must be drinking, you must be womanizing, you're a rock star. You know, it's an image people have when they're not into workings of films. So I guess their fears were sort of okay, because, you know, I was from a different religion, I was going to be a movie star, and my parents had died. So they were like, you know, there's nobody senior around him. How is he going to look after our daughter? He's taking her to Bombay from Delhi. So there were little reservations. But then I sort of convinced them that it's okay. And I've stuck to her 15 years, or she stuck to me 15 years. So they were resolved. But not in terms of backgrounds. I think we were similar backgrounds as far as the economic aspect was concerned. I was as educated as her family was. So I didn't have issues like that. But the movie is much larger than life, yeah. But you have this disparity in our country, where you know, you need to choose love according to your economic standing.
I hope it's on. Okay. A love story in India. What do you have to have with the essentials in a love story in a Bollywood movie? Which essentials do you have to put in? What are the essentials of a love story in a Bollywood movie?
Actually, if you ask me, just me. You don't need anyone else. That's it. If I'm there in a love story in Bollywood, it'll be a beautiful love story. But you need to have a boy meets girl. You need to have some kind of an obstacle or disparity in social standing. You know, West Side Story? Have you heard of the movie West Side Story? Or the play? Or Romeo and Juliet? I think our love stories are mostly derivatives of Romeo and Juliet and West Side Story. But we just keep changing the placement. You know, so either there's a family problem, or there is a status problem, or like in Om Shanti Om, and the dream is always there's an underdog. So I think basically love stories, though I've started making a few love stories post-marriage. You know, why does love go out of marriage after a couple of years? So should we rekindle love, like a movie called Chalte Chalte? You know, so but basically the inherent quality is you need to have a pretty couple. You need to have some songs and dances. And you need to have an obstacle, either a villain or a society, and you know, against all odds, hopefully get them together. But there was this beautiful love story called Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, which means from